Greetings! The following is the 35th reunion Pet Sematary panel that we had the pleasure of hosting at the 2024 Houston Horror Film Festival. The panel featured Dale Midkiff, Denise Crosby, Brad Greenquist, Miko Hughes, and Andrew Hubatsek. We hope you enjoy, and if it's your first time checking us out, we hope that you'll check out some of our regular full-length episodes. Thank you so much.
We've got more coming, right?
Yes.
What do we do in the meantime?
Sing a song.
Yes.
Sing us a song.
Wow. Okay, let's start. If you'll each just individually tell me your names so I know. This is just like Denise. We were always waiting on set for it.
Always. Actually, they got attacked by the Halloween gang.
So did any of you guys see Pet Sematary?
I like this.
Just want to make sure I'm in the right place. That's all.
I think we ought to give them a test.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a trivia test.
Okay.
Okay. Exactly how many words did Zelda say in the movie?
That's a really good question.
I'll bet somebody knows. Yes.
Hey guys, sorry about holding up on that real quick. We're still waiting on two of our talents, but we're gonna go ahead and jump into the panel. Okay. Is that cool with you guys? That's cool with everybody?
As soon as we stop our pop quiz. So somebody knows how many words Zelda said. How many? 3. Correct.
All right, you get to come sit up on stage now. Come on.
Miko Hughes, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry guys, I had to poop.
Oh, God.
What a start. Awesome. Yeah, we grab one more in here. Guys, thank you all so much for coming out to our first big panel of the day, the Pet Sematary panel. How fucking excited are we with the cast of Stephen King's Pet Sematary? Give them another big applause. Come on, let's hear a Houston Thank you. We're still waiting on one, but I can't wait anymore. My name's Roger. I'm the co-host of Dark Night, the podcast. My sister over here, Troy Escamilla, she's my co-host. She's gonna be holding it down with the questions from the audience. But right now, I'm just gonna jump into it. We've got the cast of Pet Sematary. This is really freaking exciting. We're a little behind. We're just gonna jump right into some questions. We are waiting right now on Denise Crosby, which is very exciting. But we got the boys over here. I'm gonna start throwing some questions out to you guys, just to see what we can pick their brains about. My first question I'm gonna start here is from Miko. Hello. How are you?
Doing all right.
Wonderful. So I'm curious. Obviously, you were 2 years old at the time of filming. I'm not expecting you to remember a lot. But with that being said, initially they were talking about bringing in twins, and they're trying to figure out how they were going to make this character work. And they ended up going with you because they thought you were a capable actor for your age. What was the selling point? Do you know what made them feel so confident that this tiny child could get these lines out and then replicate getting hit by a truck? I mean, what was the selling point? What made this happen for you?
Well, my parents weren't afraid of child abuse to get the job done.
True story.
I think all the credit really goes to Mary Lambert, the director. As the story was told, props to her. As the story was told to me by my parents and everything growing up was that usually they like getting twins for child roles because they can work more hours. They realize you can only be on set for so long, so they have one on set for half the day and then bring the other one in. And I auditioned for Mary, and she fought for me to the studio because they were pushing hard for that. They always say in film, kids and animals are the worst to work with because they're such a variable. Which Pet Sematary, we had both and somehow pulled it off.
I like the cats better than you.
Yeah, that's okay. I like the cats better than you.
Yeah, so she really fought.
And to the queen is here.
All right then.
I was standing there waiting for you. No one came to get me. Typical men.
Yeah, so long story short, she fought for me for the studios wanted twins, and she really was in my corner, and I'm very thankful for that because it changed the course of my life forever.
Absolutely. And now that we have the family unit together, like one of my first questions I kind of want to start with for you three is, I mean, you've obviously, your whole life has been spent with these two, you know, and you have these conventions, you have these events. At this point, like when you reconnect, what is it like for you three? Like, is there like a familiar, almost like a family kind of bond that you have? Like,
It's beyond family, I think. Yeah.
We hate each other.
and that is family, so.
You know, the same old beefs, they're all there. No, God, it's a delight, really.
This is great, and we haven't been able to do this full family reunion in quite a while, so
Yeah.
this is pretty cool.
My fault.
It's great to have you back.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, on set, I mean, we're just so busy. You can hear me, right? Yeah.
It might be recorded.
On set, you know, we're working hard, so we really didn't get a chance to really know each other. But when we started doing conventions, that's when we all started having fun and really getting to know each other. And it's been a pleasure ever since. You know, I love seeing these guys.
And
happy
you know,
to do it.
absolutely. When the first, it had been a gap of time since I saw Miko, having played his mom and this little boy at 3. So when I then reconnected with him many years later as a young adult, I was just so grateful he wasn't like criminally insane at this point. That was such a joy. I went, oh my God, you're okay.
That's just the acting.
You had mentioned Mary Lambert, and one thing I want to kind of touch on is obviously at the time it was pretty rare to have a female director in general, let alone in the genre. So I'm curious, having a woman helming the ship behind the lens, how do you think that impacted the final product and the feminine touch, the feminine eye? What was it like having a woman guide the ship, and what did she bring to the film that maybe a male director would not have brought to it?
Well, Denise, you know her well, and she was very artistic. That's all I knew.
Her first discipline is a painter. So she brings, she graduated at RISD and, a classical painter. And so she brings a painterly eye, first of all, to her the vision of the film. She's a visual artist. So when you see Gage come back in that little velvet, Victorian outfit, that she envisions that and sees that in such a unique perspective, and she brings the heart and soul of a woman in her gentleness and her kindness to this film. It's sensitive. It's not just the horror aspect and the harshness of it. She cares about these people, and she cares about the love of this family and the destruction of this family, and that is very present. I mean, that distinguishes, I think, this film.
I feel that for sure, and I'm going to jump ahead a few of my questions just because it bounces right off what you're saying for you. I mean, this is a film that deals with an unusual amount of human grief. Obviously horror films, there's going to be death, there's going to be gore, but this film really explores loss, pain, coping, and especially for your character, for Rachel, the loss of a sister, the loss of a child, and her overall you kind of just see her crumble, And I'm curious, how did you, as an actress, what did you have to do to translate that to the screen, and how much of that did you carry with you, and did it impact you afterwards? Because you have some very heavy moments in this film that I think kind of transcend beyond horror into just beautiful drama, emotional grief, and like, did that leave an impact with you after you were done filming?
You know, it doesn't, because, I mean, we're trained, you know, to kind of do our work and then disconnect and go back. I mean, you'd lose your mind if you couldn't, you know, do that. But that being said, yes, the depth of this character, one of the most beautiful scenes for me is when I'm telling, you know, Lewis about my family, about my sister, how I was left, you know, taking care of this person, and it was way beyond my means, you know, that I was not capable as a child who would do that. You know, it was such an interesting scene to have in the midst of a, you know, a horror film, a Stephen King, you know, movie. So that, you know, that is the thing. But and then Judd Crandall has moments of this, and it's all throughout the film. It was just Mary guided me through this, you know, task, and she let me feel safe and supported to just, you know, explore this, the depth. The hardest thing for me, the scene, was the funeral scene. As you recall, I mean, it is just it's horror after horror after horror layered on, and you know, as an actor, I had to like keep a level of despair throughout the day, knowing that, you know, I had to hold it for my close-up, so to speak, you know. So, but that was, I was absolutely spent. It was maybe the hardest day filming of my life, you know.
I'm sure that physical exhaustion, just like keeping your headspace there, it physically takes a toll on you. And you know, you mentioned Zelda. I want to touch on this for a moment. You know, at this point, it's not so uncommon, I think, to see a man play a woman, especially when in like a state of like a physical, like, you know, disfigurement. Like we've seen it in the Dawn of the Dead remake, we've seen it in the Black Christmas remake at this point. But like, this is really cutting edge at this time, I think, to have, you know, Zelda played by a male actor. You know, and I'm curious for you, like, A, how did we get there? Like, what was the journey of getting you in that role, and what was your challenges, you know, depicting this character, this female, physically depicting this? What did you have to do to get into that headspace?
That's a good question. A lot of the work was done for me by the brilliant makeup artists, of course. They flew me out to California, did a full body cast, and created a half-inch of foam that they covered my body with. They glued it on when I got to Maine. And so looking in the mirror and seeing what that looked like does a lot of the work for you, right? When I auditioned for it, originally about a year before, it's just play, you know. As an actor, you're like, what am I going to do with these 3 or 4 lines that I had? And I just had fun, you know, just trying to be like scary and fun.
Scared the hell out of me.
And a lot of us, right?
I'm still suffering.
You know, you're an actor. You're playing at something. So I think, I don't know, hopefully there's like a level of humor in the role, which people also respond to. But the real challenge of it for me was actually doing it. I had a great time. Mary was very supportive. It was an initial experience of doing film for me, so I felt like I was supported. She was like, what do you want to do? You got to be over here. So I think the challenge was just the kind of fatigue that I was feeling from putting the makeup on for 15 or 20 hours, the shooting after that, the anxiety about, well, like wanting to do well and not really knowing what I was, you know, the setup of filming period. So I think all that kind of played into what you're seeing as well. My own shock and like, you know, being out of it. So, and that's all I can say about that. It was just like, you're an actor, you're doing it. I don't think I was thinking too deeply about it at the time.
What you did definitely created, like, and I hate to use the word iconic, I think it's overused, but like, tell me that visual has not been burned into our minds, like all of ours. Like, it is one of those things that sticks with you. And yes, I mean, truly. But a lot of this movie is, and I do have to say, like, I think out of all the Stephen King adaptations, this film has personally my favorite, like, visual depictions of gore. And like the makeup effects, they just are standout. I think they're truly, truly haunting. Especially Pascow, like the head trauma. First time I saw it, like I vomited in my mouth a little bit. Like it was one of those moments. I'm curious, like what was the process of having that application? It's such an elaborate effect, progressively more so as the film goes on.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more of just that makeup process because it's so elaborate?
Well, it was a lot of time in the makeup chair, but nothing compared to what Andrew went through. It generally took around 4 hours to put it on, but sometimes it would take 5 hours if they had to do my legs as well, and particularly if it was in a scene that was near the end of the film, because there were like 3 stages of veins for me in the film. At the beginning, the veins were kind of light, and they get thicker and thicker as the movie goes on. So if it was a scene late in the sequence of the story, and where you're going to see my legs, it would take like 5 hours, and then taking it all off was another 2 hours. But we had a great time in the makeup makeup trailer. David Anderson and John Blake were great guys, and we had a lot of fun. Sometimes I would sleep, and so that's how the makeup process was. The worst part of it actually was, at 4 a.m, having cold glue put on my head to put that brain piece on. That was just the worst because it stank really bad, and it was cold, and it was cold anyway in October at 4 a.m. in Maine.
I was in and out of makeup in 10 minutes.
I can imagine that had to be an exhausting experience, and knowing how long even a simple like makeup effect can be, let alone something that's so like all-consuming. And I do know like there's so many moments where you actually do see like when the wound is open, like the blood flowing. Like was there tubing in there and everything? Was it like actually built to have that leakage?
There was tubing for when on the scene where I'm brought into the hospital. There was a tube that went from my hand under my arm, under my clothes, and then up the back and up into the brain thing. And at certain places, I'm on a stretcher or something like that they're bringing me into the hospital, and at certain places the camera operator needed me to like squeeze that pump really hard so the blood would spurt because the camera was going to be there. But my eyes were rolled up into the top of my head, so I couldn't see where we were. So I had to like memorize, okay, we're going along the sidewalk, now we go up a set of stairs, then we turn, we go up another set of stairs, then a few steps, and we turn left into the door, and then we turn right, and then we make a sharp left right there, boom, 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 pump, 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 pump.
Kickball chain.
That's how that was. It was completely technical,
Well, it's truly amazing. The makeup effects in this film are exceptional, standout. I do have one question. So Dale, I'm curious, just because you shared so many scenes, but like I think Fred Gwynne gives one of the single like most standout character performances within the genre of the era that I can think of. And it's a portrayal that manages to navigate both like genuinely warm and caring, but also like foreboding. There's an ominous element to the character, and like looking back, like just honestly, like what was it like sharing some of these scenes with him for you, Dale? Because there's so many really strong moments with him, and they're really human moments and beautiful moments dealing with loss. Like, and just like looking back and reflecting on it, like what was it like sharing some of these sequences with him?
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I just learned from Fred as we were going along because he's just so good as an actor. And we got very close because, before they would shoot, we'd be sitting there and just talking and talking. We became really good friends over the process. And sitting across from him, he's a man you can't lie to. So it kind of made my job a little easier, I just wanted to tell him the truth. I wanted to be as open and as honest as I could be. And just a dear, sweet, beautiful man. We used to go have dinner with him and his wife, Deborah, lots of nights, and visit his farm in Maryland after the shoot. And I wish he was here today. Every time I go to a convention, I think of him. So it was a beautiful experience, probably the best part of it for me.
I'm sure that's why that carries through. The moments that you share are so human and natural, and the chemistry, between everybody in this film, I think that's what makes it hold up so much. The test of time is you could tell there's a connectivity between all of you. And so it's a beautiful film with such a strong sentimentality of again, loss, the family structure, and it really sticks with a lot of us. I think that's why this fan base, look at this crowd here, that's why there is such a fan base for this film. I'm not going to go on too much longer. I have one more question, and then we are going to do a proper roll call, since we do have everybody here. And then we're going to get to some actual questions from the audience. But I do want to say, this is a film that is done for semis what Final Destination 2 did for Log Trucks. I'll never look at a semi again and not think of that child's face before it's pummeled by it. But are there any sequences for you, whether it be immediately seeing it, or even maybe to this day, that you still watch and you're wow, that it just still affects me? Are there any moments in this film that really hit you when you first watched this movie? That maybe just took you by surprise or really did genuinely shock you, even though you're in the movie? Any of these scenes that stand out to you?
Well, there's one that hit me in particular. No, I think I knew basically the story growing up. I knew what my involvement was. I didn't watch it until I was about 12 years old, all the way through. So I'd seen scenes that I was in isolation, and I remembered a lot of it. And I'd heard the stories growing up that I kind of felt like I had seen the movie before I saw the movie, except Zelda. I had no idea. I wasn't there for any of your scenes, and so I was blindsided by that. I was that was the part that always freaked me out, for sure.
All right, anyone else? Anybody? Any scenes that stand out to any of you, or maybe just affected you a little bit more than anything else within the film? Or even when you're filming it, maybe
mine was the scream after Gage got hit, and just the amount of rage and anger and fear and loss. I let it all go, let it all go. And funny thing is, we went to lunch right after that, got in the vans, went to the base camp. Somebody says fire, and I turn around and look, and it's my trailer. It's on fire. I'd left a candle too close to the curtain, so, very memorable afternoon for me, that was.
Like I was saying, that funeral, I will never forget. And Stephen, is there playing the, Reverend. And, I get through that whole day and I'm spent. And we all are living in little cottages and houses all spread out. And I have a rental car and I'm driving down this pitch black highway to my haunted house I've rented, for this basic stay in Maine. And it felt haunted, believe me. And I was so spent and I was just exhausted. And all of a sudden, a fox runs out in front of my car. And I've never hit an animal in my life driving. And I hear thump. And I pull over, and I'm literally on a pitch black highway, and I'm crying again on the side of the road, and I'm looking for the fox. And I'm going, oh my God. It's Pet Sematary, and I've killed a fox. And I was just completely wiped out, and I couldn't find the fox. I hope it lived. I don't know. I couldn't find it, and got home. I just thought, oh my God, this is too much. You reminded me of it though when you said after that huge scream, your trailer's on fire. After that huge funeral, I hit a fox.
It was the day you filmed the funeral scene
Yes.
too, so you were just completely
I didn't think I had a tear left in my body until that fox came out, and it was like, oh no, you still got some, girl. You still got some left.
I was feeling like bad omens, but like, come on, if you're killing an animal on this film set, like that is a bad thing for sure. I'm sorry about that. I'm just curious, like any unique behind the scenes stories that you might have to share with the audience, like the production or anything that happened that maybe we don't really know about that you might have to share overall?
Oh, I have one, yes. So, my first time, I guess it was probably my first day shooting. I was all made up, and then it was time for lunch. And we all sat at these picnic tables, long picnic tables put together, and we were having spaghetti with tomato sauce, meat sauce, right? And so I sat down, and I guess the thing was on this side, right? And so I sat down, and the guy next to me, he was one of the grips or something like that. He's kind of like trying not to look at me. But then he like stood up, he leaned over to me first, he said, "I'm sorry, Brad, I just can't eat the spaghetti." Seeing your brain like that, it's nothing personal, but I have to go sit somewhere else. He got up and left, and then the next person did the same thing, and the next person, he cleared the whole table to my left. So from then on, I went to my trailer to have my lunch. I didn't sit with everybody with that brain, no matter what we were eating.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to kind of get through my questions really fast because honestly, this is one of the most packed panels we've had for the 3 years I've been doing these. So we want to give you guys a chance to ask your questions. But now that we have everyone here, Troy is going to give a proper cast roll call. So let's just take a moment to celebrate these amazing people who created one of our favorite genre classics. Troy, take it away.
Thank you. We all love hearing your voice, but we want to hear from you guys, right? We have the lovely Denise Crosby, who played Rachel. And then, of course, the fabulous Miko Hughes. The awesome Dale Midkiff, who is Lewis, please. Brad, who portrayed Victor. And finally, Zelda herself. Andrew.
Raise them up. I mean, we know you got them. Let's see who wants to ask a question.
Anybody have it?
Right there.
Look at this, eager.
I have a question for Mr. Dale over there. In the scene in the hospital, right after they brought Victor Pascow to you, and he's sitting there gushing and whatnot, right before he wakes up, he sits up with a start and hacks a mouthful of blood right in your face. Did you by chance want to throw hands with him after that? Because I would have.
You want me to show you how I did it?
I really enjoyed it immensely. It felt like it was connected.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Is Church still alive, the cat?
Well, there are how many of them?
There were about 7 or 8 churches. Each one did a trick.
Yeah, it's hard to get cats to act, so you gotta have a bunch of them.
One could sleep,
You sleep,
one could
dopey,
eat,
angry.
one could go. There was baby church when we first get to the house. Yeah, each one had its, and they were amazingly beautiful, those cats. God, so beautiful.
How many of you guys have named one of your pets Church?
How many have kids named Gage? Oh, yeah.
There was one yesterday. I don't know what it's saying, but yeah.
Anybody have kids named Mr. Dale?
Anybody have kids named Zelda?
So it's not especially common for Stephen King to write his own film adaptations, but he did in this one. Also was in the movie as the Reverend, like you mentioned before. What was it like working directly with him, and any stories of just like working with him in general?
Wow, how did you do that?
I think that was Stephen, probably. Telepathically communicating.
Well, we rehearsed for a couple of weeks up there before we started, and Mr. King showed up to a lot of the rehearsals. And he would be wearing his, motorcycle chain and be smoking and drinking can after can of Jolt, which is 4 times the sugar, 3 times the caffeine. And he'd read from the obituaries. I think he did it just to mess with our heads. Didn't we invite us to dinner one time? What happened?
Yes, he's got this, I hear he's moved, but he had this renowned house in Bangor, and with like bats on the gate, this wrought iron Victorian house. And he said, "You guys have to come over for dinner one night." As he's chain smoking and jolting, we thought, "Oh God, I don't know. I don't know. We'll never get out. They'll never see us again, Dale. Don't do it."
We blew it.
I know.
We both said, "Oh my God, it's 35 years later, and we decided we want to go."
I know.
That was a mistake.
But he
I would
was.
have left one of them there for him to play with for a while, just
Yeah, we could trade off.
Yeah.
We would trade off. He was so enthusiastic and positive, and gave Mary full freedom. He wrote that script almost to the T. The book is identical, and I brought my book, my Pet Sematary book, for him to sign, and he wrote in my book, "You are Rachel Creed, and Rachel Creed is you. Love, Stephen." Yeah, it's really, really sweet. So I'm a big fan.
What was the scariest scene for you guys?
To film or watch?
To do or to watch?
Was it scary film? Probably. I don't know.
Hold on, we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Well, Zelda, I already said, Zelda definitely was the one that scared me the most, for sure.
I don't know, sometimes the shooting at night, was a bit eerie, especially up in Maine. Maine had a weird kind of night.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's got a definite vibe. So.
For myself, none of the shooting was scary, because it was also technical from my part. Turn your head this way so we see more of your brain, stuff like that, So I couldn't really, I couldn't get scared about anything, except when I had to look at Dale. That was scary. And that haunts me to this day. I don't know if you see it, but what happens is when I look at Dale, this is what happens. I try to hide it, but...
I thought we said we weren't going to talk about this.
I have a question. Well, first, I just want to shout out the Ramones who wrote an original song for this.
Yeah.
It's an awesome, underrated Ramones song. Anyway, on that note, how do you feel the score of this film or other films you've been on have added to your performance, or what was your reaction to seeing the music attached to what you did?
Wow. So, the Ramones are involved directly because Mary was really good friends with Joey Ramone. And she just flat out asked him to do something. And of course, they were all part of that, punk scene in New York. Elliot Goldenthal is amazing. I mean, that score, that might have been his first score. And he has gone on to, do extraordinary work. Compositions that are masterful. So, Mary caught him on the uptick, when he was just getting started. So again, she just was really fortunate, and her timing was perfect.
That's a good question. I feel like the score's kind of underrated. We've never really been asked about it, but it does have some really creepy, atmospheric, like that childlike, operatic, and then just the atmosphere. Yeah, it really brings it to life for sure.
So I know that there were a lot of really intense scenes, a lot of gut-wrenching scenes that you guys filmed. Were there any scenes that you had a blast filming? Like, what is your favorite, fun scene? Like, what was the most fun for you to film?
Did she say fun? The picnic was kind of fun.
I was going to say that, all of that stuff arriving, at the Creed house, we've come to a new place, and I'm picking up the baby out of the car seat, and Ellie is, making a beeline for the swing, and the cat's in the carriage. It's just kind of joyful contrast. Really bright. The house is painted yellow. Just this bright, and against that blue sky, it's just a beautiful shot of us arriving. Right. And it's so hopeful and so loving. This gorgeous family coming into this, new environment. You've got this great job, and there's so much promise there. And that I loved doing those scenes. I loved that house and the sunshine, and all of that. It was really very sweet.
One thing we didn't really touch on yet too is how Mary shot, and this usually isn't done in film, shot very chronologically. That the beginning of the film was shot at the beginning of production, and the end was shot near the end, with some variation, I'm sure, but
and
overall,
that was for you,
yeah,
for your benefit, because she really was careful in his care, because what was going to be asked of him was really incredible. And we had to gain a trust, all of us. You had to trust Mary, but you had to feel safe and comfortable with us as your parents.
Strange environment for a 2-year-old on a set.
Exactly, so she knew that if we start at the beginning and work our way to the hard part, by that time, Miko will feel like, oh, I get to go again. I get to go on the set again, and I'm gonna see Dale. I'm gonna see Denise. We're gonna have fun, and that's how it worked. That's really how it worked. It's brilliant, because again, she only used one child. That's really made her life, tenfold more difficult.
I just want to build up that real quick. For you, with your dialogue and everything, were they just we're gonna feed him a line and have it repeat it, or were you just kind of spewing and they're like, ooh, we like what this baby's saying, we're just gonna take it and use it? Were they feeding you lines there, or were you just kind of just being a baby and talking?
I think I was fed lines. I know growing up, you guys might be able to speak to this more, how accurate it is to the script. I'm sure there was variation and maybe a little of improv or whatever. But especially I think the phone call was probably easy, because you could say it and I would just repeat it back. Maybe on the set was a little more memorization. But as far as I know, I'd have to check the script, but I think it was fairly on the page, right?
Yeah, I know there was wiggle room, and it was like whatever. It just you do your lines, and he'll respond, and we'll go with that.
Yes.
But you practiced, and you knew what you were going to say, but it wasn't hard written.
Sure. I think that's like with any scene, really, as long as you can play with the words, as long as the intent of where the scene started and where it ends and the journey is the same, you can swim within that.
Right.
I remember they had my lines written on those big white poster boards, so I didn't have to memorize them. That's not true.
That is so not true. Now, Judd, Fred set the bar pretty high, man. It was like, even those first rehearsals in that rehearsal room we were in, and he starts speaking in that really difficult Maine accent, and I went, oh shit. I better actually do some work now.
Well, hi.
Hi.
I was
Thank
going
you.
to ask about Fred Gwynn, but you've already answered that question. But I would like to know how you felt when you got the call. Hey, you got the part in Pet Sematary, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if Miko remembers because he was so little. But,
I know it started. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, when you got the phone call, when they said, hey, you're going to do a Stephen King movie, how each of you felt. If that was a big deal to you, or was it like...
Hell yeah. It was a big deal.
Well, Mary had Denise and I read together.
Mm-hmm. We tested at Paramount.
Yeah.
We had to do a screen test, and I had worked with her before, not on film, but I did a number of music videos with her. That's how she started her film career, which was very typical back then. A lot of directors were being pulled from music videos. And so she had, but there was another actress that also had to audition, and they mixed and matched us. And I remember, I don't know if you know this, Mary called me that night after our screen test, and she said, so what do you think? And I said, you gotta go with Dale.
No, thank you.
10%, baby, 10%. Well, because you're testing. I mean, that's the point of testing. Like, who do you?
You have to have chemistry.
Yeah, you got to go with this. And I mean, this guy had just played Elvis. Okay, come on. Like, it was like a no-brainer.
If I can throw a little shade, I think that's what really worked about the film too. Is ultimately it is a horror movie, but ultimately it's about family tragedy with a supernatural element, and you have to have that chemistry to feel the pain of the loss and be invested in the story. And I think maybe where the remake, it has some great points, but I didn't feel that same chemistry, and I think ultimately it doesn't have that same emotional impact.
For sure.
All right.
Do you have a pet that you've lost that you would have been tempted to bury in Pet Sematary to bring back?
Not after making this movie. I may have considered it, but we know what happens.
I want to see what happens if you put dinosaur bones in Pet Sematary. There's a great, I don't know if anyone here is a Rick and Morty fan. Yes. The latest season, there's a whole segment of Pet Sematary. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's awesome. They're trying all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh, and you know what my son played for me was this, I guess, this rap beef that's been going on with Drake and Kendrick Lamar, God, please, I'm so old. So they've been having this whole beef, and so I said, what is this about? So he said, oh my God, Mom, Kendrick Lamar wrote this whole thing. I'm going to put your bones in a pet cemetery. In one of the beefs. Do you know that?
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, because I guess the guys that this is all through my son. Okay, I have no idea, but I guess the guys that hang out with Drake, he calls them his dogs. And so Kendrick goes, I'm gonna put all your dogs in the pet cemetery.
That's awesome. South Park too.
We made it, baby. We made it.
South Park also has some really good episodes with a character that's Fred Gwynn, essentially straight out of it, and Butters is kind of like loosely associated with Gage, and it's really fun.
This question is for Dale. You buried the cat up there, you buried your son up there, and then you ended up burying your wife up there. Did you learn your lesson not to bury anything else up there?
Apparently not.
He just keeps going back. Can't help himself.
It's gonna work this time, I swear.
Isn't that the sign of insanity? You keep repeating for a different effect.
What was it like filming the truck scene?
The first take wasn't so bad. The second one really hurt.
Again? How many times have you cracked that joke?
That's one of the 3 jokes I have.
This question is for Dale. How many days did you spend climbing on tree branches, up and down side of a mountain with Fred Gwynn? Like, how long was that shoot? And do you have any good stories about you guys going out and doing those scenes?
I only climbed as long as Fred wanted to. When Fred said it's time to go, we just left. But yeah, it was pretty rugged, pretty rough, and I don't remember how long it took, but it was definitely out there in the woods. I'm not a woods guy, so.
I'm throwing one out real fast. I'm just curious, just because I recall this, and I just want to make sure I'm right. So the ending of the film was reshot. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see the original ending, and do you have a preference over the sadder, more dramatic ending, or the more violent final decision that they went with?
You saw the original, right?
I don't think so.
It's the one where I'm sitting down against the door and it's your footprints.
Oh, right.
That are all
Oh,
muddy.
right.
And that's kind of ended there, like what happens?
Right.
Because the studio wanted it more violent,
They
right?
did it more gory.
Gory.
And she came back looking gory. Let me tell you.
Oh, with that.
Oh, man.
How about? Well,
That
someone
makeup.
asked me. I hope they're in the audience. Did you have to swallow that goop when you made out with me?
No, I think I made sure we sealed our lips. Really
Okay,
yeah.
We didn't have to.
We had glue, like crazy glue on our lips. Oh my God, yes. I can't believe we had to do that all over again. With the pump and the pus out of my eyeball. And oh God. Really good.
What did you think of the ending, or would you rather have a different ending?
I like the ending show.
Okay. That's settled, thank God.
I've heard it's notoriously difficult working with children and with animals. How was it to work with both at the same time?
Unbelievable. Just, God.
I'll never do it again.
Everything they say is true.
I can step out if you want to be honest.
He was a sweetheart. He was an absolute sweetheart. Because I played with him in the front yard because I'm dad and stuff. And he was just adorable. He really was. Just a sweet kid. And the cats really didn't pay attention to me, so they were fine. They had their master or whatever they got to.
The cat wrangler.
Cat wrangler. So yeah,
It was really easy.
That is
Really
a
good.
true statement, though, children and animals. But on that one, it wasn't the case for me anyway.
If the movie was based around a fish, how would that, like, if you buried it in a pet cemetery, how would the concept change?
I think fish would be more like fertilizer.
Well, it wouldn't die.
Yeah.
So it would come back, but you could just step away from it. Like it'd just be really slow coming at you.
Flopping at
Yeah, you could just like.
Yeah, a mutant fish. Hey, it hasn't been done.
giant
Has it been
shark.
done? A mutant
Like a gray white
fish.
in the dirt, just trying to. I like this game.
Oh man.
We're coming up on our last few minutes. I'd say we got maybe 2-3 more questions. Make them fucking good, guys. Come on,
don't fuck up.
Okay, this is for Zelda. So that voice is so creepy. It always, I mean, you can hear it in that movie. Was that like improv, or did they ask you to make like a creepy voice like that? And could you possibly give us a sample?
I can give you a sample. It's just the voice that I came up with, like in the audition. After we shot the film, months later in New York, I went back into the sound studio and like redubbed all my lines. And so I don't know if they're actually manipulated or not, but it does sound like the voice that I came up with. Yep.
Do Rachel for me.
Rachel!
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Up here, Troy.
Hey, about acting with children again, but specifically about how Stephen King writes children, and especially in the 80s when we're talking about horror and Stephen King, kids are such a big part of his movies, so just sort of like playing off of, especially the girl actress. She's so great in the movie and she's so emotional. So what was that experience like with a little kid?
Oh, well, I mean, Stephen, when he wrote Pet Sematary, he had his children. They were little. They were like Ellie's age, his daughter. And his daughter did get hit. The cat did get run over. And she came home and said, why, Daddy? Why my cat? Why does God take my cat? And, he used so much of what, he had just moved to Maine. There was a deadly highway outside of his, property, and, just went to work on that. So he, his family and his kids are such a part of his life, and I think that's why he writes these incredible, characters that are children. He and his wife, they're together for so many years, and she's such a force in his life, and those kids mean so much, and he can tap into that.
Okay, this is a question for the group of you. During filming, was there at any point where you had to do something that you didn't really want to do, but still decided to do it anyways for the sake of the film? And if so, would you not do that, or ask for a different, scene?
I think the hardest part for me is they just kept saying, "Stop pooping your pants."
Is that the second joke or the third?
That's the last one. I'm all out now.
Thank God.
I had a scene where I had to hang in a tree, which was ultimately cut, this little scene, and I didn't get, we had been on night shoots, and I didn't get the memo that we were going to day shoots, and so I had been up all night in my cabin, and I only got like an hour of sleep, and there was somebody banging on my door, "Come on, you gotta get to the set, you gotta get to the set." And they rushed me to the set and threw all this makeup on, and then put me in a harness and put me up in a tree, hanging in a tree. And I would have preferred to stay in bed.
Well, that's right. You were always haunting me, weren't you? Right?
Yes, nothing's changed.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying I'd change that if I could.
No, you wouldn't. I know you.
I kept looking for you, actually.
What beautiful friendships were formed on the set of Pet Sematary. No, seriously though, that was our last question. We are going to be wrapping up this panel, but I do just really want to take a quick moment here, one more time, to thank the cast across the board. Denise Crosby, Dale Midkiff, Miko Hughes, Greenquist, and Andrew Hubatsek. Guys, please give them a proper teaching for Thank you guys so much for coming to our panel, and thank you to the cast of Stephen King's Pet Sematary.
Thanks a lot, guys.